What you're looking at is a load of 45 pieces, 2x6x8 redwood boards. These boards are going to be used as the deck planks for our rear deck. I don't miss doing that kind of stuff by hand at all. Morning, guys. Yvonne is back from California, so we're going to get started with the framing of the deck. As you know from the last video, I had a 2x10 by 16 foot board delivered from Lowe's. It cost $85 for that one board, and it was damaged, so I sent it back, and they reordered a new one. I went to pick it up yesterday. It was the exact same board as they tried to deliver to me a week ago. So I just said, forget it. I got my money back for it, and we're going to have to figure out another solution. So anyways, but we're going to get started right now with putting up the floor joists and see how far we can get today. So this is the framing on the house, and this is the edge of the deck. And what we're going to want to do is bring our 2x8s to the same height as this board right here. We're going to run a string level from that point there over to the furthest post, mark it, and then we're going to put our first two pieces going across, and that will establish the level of the deck. This is where I wanted to use the 2x10 by 16, and I just gave up on it, and I ended up getting two 2x8 by 8s. And we're just going to have to figure it out. The skirt was going to be 2x10s, and we're just going to do 2x8s and see how it rolls. We're using 4.5-inch structural screws from Timberlock to secure the 2x8s to the 4x4 posts. These do not need pre-drilling. sometimes I've had bad luck with that in the past. We'll see if it works or not. If I need to, I'll pre-drill, but I'm going to try doing it just straight through. These 2x8s are going to be covered with a 2x10 skirting after we're all done. While I was nailing in these joist hangers, I kind of discovered something pretty cool. Let me show you. Now, normally you would whack these little hooks in while you were placing them and getting them ready to set the nails. And I was just going to hammer them in, and then I went back with the palm nailer, and check this out. Pretty cool, huh? Let me show you again on this side. Done. I started putting up the 2x10 skirting today, and it's just kind of been a back and forth trying to decide how we want this to look. But this is the 2x6 redwood that we're going to be using as the decking, and I brought the skirt up a little more than 1.5 inches to compensate for the height, so we see no end grain when we're done. And once this is nailed down, I got to hold it down because there's a little warpage. It should be nice and flush, if not set maybe a 32nd of an inch below that skirt. It should give a nice clean appearance. It's the same look we did on the front deck, and we're real happy with the way that turned out. I found a new tool in the tool shed today. I'm putting a 45-degree miter on this skirt, and the one thing I discovered was that this miter saw, if I set it for 45 degrees on a 2x10, the cut doesn't come out straight. It comes out curved, and I think it's just beyond its capability as far as the width of a board and cutting a 45 is concerned. I don't know. I'd have to look it up in the manual or check it online. Anyway, so what I've done is I've taken my larger speed square and just clamped it, and then using my cordless circular saw, I'm able to get the 45-degree cut. We just finished putting up the skirt around the deck, and like I showed you before, we decided to put a 45-degree miter on the corner. I think it looks a lot more finished. I really like it a lot better. It is going to have to get sanded just a little bit to make the corners meet nicely. And what we did on this this is actually two 2x8x10s that we cut down to the proper length. And because this is in essence a triple 2x6, I ended up using 4.5-inch timber lock screws from the inside to secure this piece to the framing. And I just went along, I don't know if you can see it, I just went along and put a 4.5-inch timber lock in each bay. And it also gives it a little bit of a cleaner look, less screws on the outside. I'm going to come back and fill these because this is all going to get painted. We've decided the skirt and the posts are all going to get painted the same brown that we used up here. That way everything will be, look cohesive. And eventually this bottom portion of the house, I'll be hitting that as well with that brown paint. So it's all going to be one cohesive unit. Here on the side, I used 2.5-inch structural screws, or I should say external grade deck screws, to attach that skirt from the inside to minimize the amount of screw holes that are visible on the outside. Now, there are going to be some on the outside because we had to tack it up and all that kind of thing. But like I said, I'm going to fill these and then paint it, and hopefully, it won't be too visible. Here you can see a good example of where I really have to hit that and make that corner look a lot nicer. And of course here, it's dimensional lumber. What are you going to do? Anyways, I'm going to work on it right now with the sander, make it look as good as possible, and then I'm going to get it painted. Using the Scuttles paint sprayer, the one you saw me use to paint the house, I got the entire skirt painted inside and out, 2 coats, and it took about 1/4 of a gallon of paint and about 7 minutes to paint. It's crazy. I mean, if you guys, if you have any painting to do and you haven't given one of these high volume, low pressure electric paint sprayers a try, you owe it to yourself to give it a shot, because although the cleanup took me about 10 minutes, that's what it would have cost me. That's the time it would have taken me to clean up a roller and paintbrushes and trays. And in fact, I probably would have ended up throwing a roller away. I'm going to paint the posts as well, going up and down. I just ran out of paint, but our mitered corners turned out nice. Got them sanded down. I don't know if I'm focused. There we go. The mitered corners turned out nice. And just for kicks, I carried the paint over onto the house, onto the pressure treated portion of the house. Just wanted to see what the transition would look like. So tomorrow I'll pick up another gallon and I'll get this thing done. Last night we came out and we were admiring our work on the deck, and we started really looking at it a little more critically. And I made the comment to Yvonne, this looks like a bodybuilder who doesn't like to do legs. And she said, what do you mean? I said, these posts are just way too small by comparison to these 2x10s. It just doesn't look, the proportions just don't look right. Now the rest of the house has a 2x10 skirt, and they're 4x6 posts with an additional 2x6 put onto it, creating in essence a 6x6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these 4x4s into 6x6s visually, using some 2x4 and some 2x6 that we have laying around. Now again, structurally these are fine. This is just the deck, and we wanted these 4x4 posts to fly up and create part of our railing system. So we're all good as far as that's concerned. We just want to visually make the bottom portion appear a little beefier. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a 2x4. I'm going to put the 2x4 like this, and I'm going to put a 2x6 like that, and basically wrap these 4x4 posts. You'll see what I'm talking about. I'll show you. I'm using my Harbor Freight 5-inch palm sander with a 100 grit disc. I'm just looking to knock down the edges specifically and just make sure there's no rough spots before I get to painting. I've got all the new pieces of lumber sanded as well as the posts going up top. And then I went along and used some exterior grade paintable silicone, filled the screw holes, filled some of the knot holes, and I'm going to give it a chance to dry and then we'll paint it.
See?
Yeah.
Gotta put this over there and then another one on this.
I wouldn't worry about that gap.
Because, yeah, here.
I really wouldn't.
Okay.
It looks
And
pretty
this
good.
one.
Can that lift up? Once that's can we raise that off? Yeah. So let's see. Let me see how. Put it down again. Let me see. And if I wanted to like leave it like a half an inch. Oh no, you know it's perfect, just the way it is.
Yeah.
In case you're wondering what Yvonne's doing, she's making a little cover for these cement pedestals, so that when I come along with the sprayer, I don't have to worry about them getting sprayed. When I'm using a brand new can of paint, I don't run it through a strainer. But if the paint can's been open for any length of time, I will run it through a paint strainer before putting it into the spray gun. As you may have caught in the time lapse, I ended up using duct tape to tape off the concrete pedestal. The cardboard worked great until it got saturated with paint, and then it started to warp and was no longer effective. So I've got the entire deck painted, 3 coats, all the posts all the way to the top, and I also hit the tops of the floor joists because those might be visible through cracks in the floorboards. So that's about it. I also hit some of the posts underneath the house. Wasn't too careful about taping off. They're going to be covered up anyway. But overall, I'm real happy with the results. We're very glad that we ended up increasing the size of the posts. It just makes a whole lot more visual sense. So if you are on the fence about getting a paint sprayer, get off the fence. If you're concerned about how long it takes to clean up, I've got it down to a science. I'm talking literally 5 or 6 minutes, and I have the entire paint sprayer thoroughly cleaned. If you guys want to see me do a cleaning tutorial in a future video, leave it in the comment box below. I'll be happy to do it. It has taken a little while to develop the technique, but now that I've got it down, and I can clean the entire paint sprayer with less than a 5-gallon bucket of water. Anyways, guys, that's it for today's video. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks for your support. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment box below. And as always, we will see you in the next video.